back to another video. Today we will be having a look at a scenario where India and China go to war. We all know that India and China, they don't really like each other. They haven't had the best relations. They're both in BRICS. Doesn't really matter. But how could they possibly go to war? Kashmir is the answer. There's been a few skirmishes here in this area recently. But this skirmish will be extremely bad, and Chinese troops will enter India. The Indian government is like, what the frick do you think you're doing? And China, what? China never told its troops to do this. China did not know this was happening. But since they attacked India first, they will be the aggressor, and the war has begun. There is a lot of divisions on this border, so China won't be able to grab much land, but they will still push in. They'll do quite well. Of course, they're stronger than India, and they'll only encircle this small division right here. Over here, this is obvious. We all knew what was coming. Pakistan will join the war on the side of China because they are China Glazer. Top 10 China Glazers probably. So these two will begin pushing into India. They'll do quite well. Pakistan's going to focus over here on Kashmir so they can, get... Well, they're already connected, so... Yeah, China and Pakistan will probably work together here. This bit's captured. And India knows this might not go very well for them. They have allies. Vietnam will join the war against China. And Taiwan will join the war against China. Vietnam probably wouldn't push into China, but they will be pushing into China to, do some distracting. And this will go right. They'll push along the coast, go over here. What they really want to do is take this island. And Taiwan probably won't do much. Indians will make a major offensive into southern Pakistan. This will go extremely well, knocking out a lot of the Pakistani divisions on the border, and they begin to fight against these two up there. And yeah, no, this isn't going great for Pakistan, but they're gonna be putting some troops down there. When the Pakistani troops get there, India gets pushed back quite a bit. China will now force Myanmar to join the war so they can invade through Myanmar, because there's mountains over here, and not mountains. Well, there still is mountains, but not too many. This isn't Myanmar's troops, this is Chinese troops. They will enter India here, and this kind of breaks the front lines, and India will lose all of this land, and this is really, really bad for India. It's at this point that North Korea will join the war, and you know what this means? South Korea. Japan. Okay, well, now we have some new countries over here. This might be a bit of a pain for the Chinese to fight off, because these two countries are top 10 powers, whilst North Korea isn't that strong. They're just a dictatorship. So South Korean forces will, and Japanese, and maybe some Americans, they will push up North Korea like they did in the First War. They will not capture Pyongyang, and, they get pushed back by Chinese troops. China has withdrawn some troops from the Indian front line to do this, and they will push into South Korea. They won't get anywhere. Due to the withdrawal of Chinese troops from South Korea and Japan joining the war, India will make a major counteroffensive back into their old lands, taking a lot of their land back, and this boosts Indian morale quite a lot. No! With Taiwan falling, Korea and Japan, they know they might have an onslaught of Chinese troops that are going to come and attack them. So they'll make a great push into North Korea. This time they get Pyongyang, and they, not explore, sorry, I was going to record a Wix after this, but I'm not. They will expand down the coast, and North Korea is practically just China now, and Kim Jong-un. No. Or Taiwan. Anyway, the Vietnamese are being pushed back as the Chinese Navy starts to do some, I don't want to say good things, because they're not good things, but definitely good things in the eyes of the Chinese. They will land over here, and they'll start taking some land, cutting Vietnam into two, and they will start pushing down on this bit. But don't worry about it. because the Philippines will be joining the war. You probably saw this coming. But they have a lot of US Navy bases, so if China just, decides to bomb them, the US might get involved. But the Philippines will be sending a lot of aid to these countries to help them fight off the Chinese. Here we will have an Indian major city being captured and another one being closed down on. This is not good for India because they cannot lose the Northern Front because their capital is right here, and they do not want, to lose their capital because they'd lose a lot of people, therefore losing a lot of manpower, morale, and their government. India is looking something like this right now, which isn't the best they could look, but it's not the worst they could look. We will see the combined Korean, Japanese, and Filipino forces keep on moving into North Korea, crossing into China. And at this point, North Korea is completely dead. The country will surrender, or, well, the last remaining government will collapse. And China is a bit worried that they will be, scripting, and yeah, all of the progress they had in North Korea has been completely destroyed, which is really sad because they thought they were going to win. Vietnam will go guerrilla mode and, kick the Chinese out. They've done that to the Americans, they can do it to the Chinese. And here is where Vietnam will do something very interesting. They will begin invading Cambodia for some reason. No. Their troops will roll in, and this is going to be a very quick invasion. Cambodia is not strong, or at least nowhere near Vietnam. And Cambodia will capitulate very early on in the war. And now Vietnam's trying to convince Thailand to join. And with a bit of government twisting, they do. With Thailand now in the war, Myanmar, has to do something by themselves, and they can't do that. And they're thinking of sinking into the ocean, but this isn't an ADIS Pro video, so unfortunately they don't sink into the ocean here. The capital is captured. The country falls under a military coup, tries to leave the war, installs a dictatorship, well, another dictatorship, and it's just nothing is going on. Well, nothing good is going on here. And even the Indians will be able to make a counter-offensive against the Chinese and Myanmar. And, oh my gosh, why does he keep doing that? And they'll connect with the Southeast Asian forces. Right now, I would still say, after a bit of time, China and Pakistan and North Korea would win this war, but some more countries are going to be getting involved. The United States of America will command Australia and New Zealand to join this war in order to scare China and, put a few US boats in the sea. And these Commonwealth forces, they'll come up, scare the Chinese, and the Chinese are a bit worried. At this point of the war, we will see China do something quite unexpected. They will declare, they don't declare war on Nepal. They just begin moving their troops through the non-mountainous parts of Nepal, and they'll split India into two again. But this time, Indian forces have recruited Bangladesh and Bhutan. Well, no, Bhutan. Let's say Bhutan got jumped as well. And China is kind of angering everyone right now. Their trade is down in the floor. The United States of America is aiding the blue team like more than Ukraine, more than anyone in the world. And this is not going too great for China. They know this, and they're prepared to conscript even more people. Let's just say a lot of United States Navy vessels in these areas, like the Yellow Sea and whatever this stuff is, they will absolutely destroy the North. Well, no, North Korea probably doesn't have a navy in this state of the war because it got destroyed by Japan and South Korea. But yeah, whatever China and North Korea have is completely obliterated by all of the ships that they've been. Well, Japan and Korea have been generously. Why can't I say that word? Generously sent. Myanmar will continue to crumble, and Vietnam and Thailand will decide to connect, and that goes very well. And they'll capture a Chinese major city. Is this the first Chinese major city captured? It is. Well done to Vietnam and Thailand. They've captured a Chinese major city. And they'll start pushing into the remainders of Myanmar, who is, they are split up into a ton of different groups right now. There'll also be a major counter-offensive made by India to get these forces away from their capital. And this goes quite well, but they do lose a lot of troops. Xinjiang will come back again, and they will begin invading. Oh my gosh, no. They'll begin invading into China, I'm so sorry, and to parts of Tibet. And Tibet might want to come back too, but there's a lot more Chinese forces here. And now this bit of Kashmir is given over to Pakistan to control. And Pakistan cannot control it very well, as Indian rebels are doing very well against Pakistan. And Pakistan at this point, they are really feeling the war. And their government is too, and so are their people. And people start calling for them to leave the war. And that is exactly what they do. They will leave the war to appease the people. And India, just to save their troops, will withdraw them all and start focusing on the Chinese front. So just like that, China is not doing too well. Parts of the country are breaking away. They want peace. They don't want this war anymore. And the USA will officially pick a side. They will join, yeah, to no surprise, they join the blue team side, and they're ready to send even more aid to the blue team. First place we see American troops is in the Koreas, where even more of China begins to get taken over, and they will work with these rebellious, no, I should probably make it purple as well, these rebellious groups over here in, what's it called again, Manchuria, yes. They'll work with groups up here. Those groups will take a major city, and yeah, those groups are doing a lot of damage. Down south, yeah, the same thing's happening, really. China is just suffering a lot of losses. And same thing over here, where we'll see the Chinese Navy abandon China for Taiwan. And yeah, they've sort of tried to take over Taiwan and fail. Very difficult situation. At this point, China is really not doing too well. This island down south is captured. I've always wondered why that, like, Taiwan could have been here. But no, they're not there. And parts of China begin to fall very fast. Myanmar will surrender, and China is ready for a massive withdrawal. They will do the withdrawal, but it's extremely messy, and they end up losing a lot of troops. So at this point, that Tibet, I'm not gonna colour Tibet in. Tibet will just rebel away. And this is really bad for China. Oh my goodness, they are losing all support from their people, and the people will decide to overthrow the government. Which you might think that's hard, but it's easy when your country still has has billion people. And China will fall over to these three sides. And let's have a look at the peace treaty. This right here is the final peace treaty of this video. We have the three breakaway states. Well, they're massive now. There's one Korea. Japan didn't gain much. They gained a lot of reparations. Vietnam is big. Thailand is big. India, they gained a lot of land from Pakistan. And yeah, not much else. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you want me to do in the comment section. Goodbye.